Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks up a block at the 5, at the 2, at the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Cornbread! I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Oakrey. We are here over the weekend, and we told you, me and Grifka, we're going to bring you some solo shows. So today, we had Matt, Pat, and Bobby Quinn step to the podium. I want to go through some of that and kind of give you some audio clips of what those guys had to say. Always interesting to hear what the coach and the GM have to say about our Detroit Lions. And then I'm also going to do something unique today. I'm going to try to do a live watch-along of the Week 16 Lions-Vikings game. Actually going to pull that up on YouTube. It's about a 10-minute video. I'm going to watch it, give my commentary. That way you at home, if you want to pull it up and we'll hit 3, 2, 1 play, you can watch along with me as well. So before we get to that, like I said, it's the NFL Combine. We got guys running through drills, running 40s, all that type of stuff. I mean, the way I do my NFL draft type prep is, you know, when it comes college football season, I'm basically watching my University of Michigan Wolverines, and then I'm picking up on some of those national games. Once the season's over, I'm diving into all the different draft eligible players, kind of reading up on them, getting them on a board, kind of sorting them based on what I read and other sites, things like that. As we get to the combine, you know, I'm kind of looking at you know, who jumps off the page, you know, who's hitting measurables that seem to make sense, things like that, and then kind of resorting a bit, but not too much. Definitely saw some interesting things at the combine, but nothing that's going to drastically move people all over the draft board. But definitely some targets for our Lions, no doubt about it. Real interesting to watch, you know, the D linemen, the receivers, tight ends, skill players, looking for the corners as well. I think that's going to be a big position for the Lions. So lots of interesting stuff going on out there. So before I talk a little more about that, let's go ahead and dive into some of these audio clips. We're going to listen to Matt, Pat, talking about tight ends. It was curious. Somebody asked him about you know, the tight end position. I thought his answer was pretty unique. So let's go ahead and take a listen to that right now.
Yeah, you know, tight ends are definitely part of the game right now that defensively it makes it real difficult, you know, to try to game plan against. The guys that can do multiple things are obviously more difficult, or those players that, you know, have a certain skill set that you have to defend against. One way or the other can kind of put you in some bind. So we're going to do the best we can to try to, you know, obviously improve that situation for us, whether it's through free agency or the draft. We're, you know, looking at those guys pretty hard and, you know, trying to make sure we get somebody in there that puts as much stress on the defense as possible.
So as you guys can hear there from Matt, Pat, I mean, he's always kind of talking about matchups. He's always talking about, you know, putting stress on the defense. You know, that's his area. That's what he knows. Kind of looking at, you know, how these teams, you know, want to be multiple on offense, how he's going to defend them on defense. And I think he's set on, you do need a versatile tight end, blocking, catching, all types of things to be able to be in kind of a new age offense in the NFL. I mean, I'm not sure how much I buy that from him. I mean, I think that, yeah, it's a versatile position. Yeah, they can put you in a couple binds, but when you really look at the numbers, I mean, they're not putting up the kind of numbers that other offensive skill guys are. And yeah, they can help you in the blocking game, but so can a really dominant, you know, couple of tackles, you know, things like that might be a little bit better than having a blocking type tight end. So I think the Lions are going to look for this, to add this here in the offseason, but I don't know that it's as big of a issue as everybody's kind of making it. I mean, I'll be curious to see what kind of draft resource they put on it. But you could tell by that clip that Matt Pat thinks they're hard to guard, and I'm sure he'll look to want to add that to his offense to put stresses on other defenses. So the next clip I have is Matt Pat kind of talking about the team. He's kind of saying, what they did well. He's asked what they did well in 2018 as well as where they can improve. So he had some kind of basic things to say. I mean, I think he hit on all the main areas: run game, run defense, where they improved. And then he also hits on some areas where they can still get better or weren't good enough in 2018. So let's take a listen to that right now.
Yeah, good question. I mean, there's so many different areas that we've looked at and we've discussed, and kind of still pretty much moving through that process. I think we definitely, from the team standpoint, like we mentioned kind of at the end of the year, thought there were some strong points on offense with us being able to run the ball, and I thought, from a defensive perspective, being able to stop the run was a good starting point for us, and special teams wise, covering kicks. So we'll try to build on those areas and go from there and maintain those and try to improve some of the other areas that obviously weren't as good as we looked at it from an on the field production standpoint. I think overall we look at the process, we look at our schedule, we look at all different things, and we're still kind of just putting together different ideas and thoughts, and then we'll actually kind of circle back at a later date. And there's guys on the team that either have different experience levels or different opinions or thoughts, and I'll actually kind of circle back to them a little bit and kind of get some more thoughts from them as far as what they think could help us moving forward from that standpoint.
So when I hear that from Matt Pat, I mean, I think he's hitting on the areas they did improve. They're always somewhat hesitant to talk about the areas where they were not good. I mean, we were not good in the pass game. We weren't good early on defense. We picked it up later when we added snacks and whatnot. But, he's definitely got to be more dynamic, more creative on offense. Hopefully Darrell Bevell can bring that. And, you were a bit better in the run game. You were a really good run defense towards the end of the year, but that's got to carry over into 2019. I mean, you really have to find ways to accentuate carry on. And you've got to get this D-line humming, when it talks about Deshaun Hand, snacks, Ashawn played much better. I mean, that's going to have to be the backbone of your defense, but you still need people to cover, because if you're great in the run game, run defense, and you can't cover anybody and you can't pass the football, you're still going to have trouble on Sundays. So the next clip I have here is Matt Pat talking about what's next in the NFL. I thought this was really interesting. This is a very smart guy, a really experienced defensive coordinator, trying to say that the NFL might be heading towards a shift of what they've been doing to something new, and he seemed really interested in that and really kind of on the front end of where that might be going. They even asked him, I don't think it's in the clip, but right after, do you have any ideas of what some of the new things will be? And he said, I got a couple, and really looked excited and laughed. So let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say about what's next in the NFL.
Yeah, it is. And, I think one of the things about the league that's always interesting is you're always trying to predict the curve, where it's coming from and what's going to happen next. And we're probably close to another change, so we'll see where it goes the next couple of years. I think for us, let's say defensively, a lot of it is dictated by the offense and where they go. And I think some of that's dictated by the college game, just the guys coming out and what's available to the offenses. And I think the offensive coaches do a great job adapting to the players they have. So, I would say that, again, I still kind of a sub game. That's really what it is, and we can transfer in between 3-4 and 4-3, and really whatever it takes for us to try to be successful in those situations is what we're going to try to do. And the good thing about saying that it's a sub game is there's a lot of different sub packages, and that are not categorized as 3-4 or 4-3. It's sub, so there's a lot of different entities within that, which is nice. So it just makes us multiple and flexible from that standpoint.
Good old Matt Pat, man. He always makes me laugh talking about standpoint and bringing up, he doesn't have as many Caldwell-isms as good old Jimmy Caldwell had, but I think this guy's just a mad scientist on defense. I think that he really loves, not being basic, not just stuck in some basic defense. He loves those sub packages. He loves to be able to mix it up. He loves to be able to just kind of manipulate his defense, whatever it takes to win the football game. I think we saw that late in 2018, so excited to kind of see where that goes moving forward. Matt Pat, he also talked about the priority of tackling. I think this is important for any defensive coordinator. They want to cover, they want to rush, but they really want to be able to tackle. So I got a little clip here of him talking about how important tackling is, and I think this will kind of, when you're looking at the draft and looking at who they might take, this is something to consider when you're thinking about the corners, safeties, other types of positions. The guy's got to be able to be a sound football player, a sound tackler. So let's take a listen.
Yeah, you know what? It's a great point and a great conversation piece. I put a high priority on tackling just in general for our team, and I don't think we can change that depending on whatever position it is. But you got to try to find the right balance because obviously, the biggest thing they got to do is be able to cover in those situations. But understand that some other players on the other side of the ball are pretty good too. They're going to catch the ball, and what you want to make sure that happens is that they're tackled right away and they don't turn those plays, whatever they are, into bigger plays. So it's kind of a good balance of both.
So real quick, before we get to Bobby Quinn, I mean, I think, what that says is that this guy's going to put priority on tackling. When you're looking at these corners high, yeah, if they cover, if they got athleticism, great. But if they got poor tackling, poor effort, I don't think you'll see that type of player on the Detroit Lions. I'm still really curious if he's going to go with the 3 safeties, if he's going to draft another safety and have Tracy Walker, Diggs, and another guy that can play safety and has some corner ability back there. We'll be really curious to see that, but I thought, tackling is a really important thing in the NFL. Matt Pat's putting an emphasis on it, so I thought that was good. Got a few clips here from Bobby Quinn. Let's go ahead and go through those. The first one is Bobby Quinn being asked about, would you take a tight end? Are tight ends off the board at 8 or in the first round in general? Grifka, who just writes off people no matter what, when Bobby Quinn had an interesting take. More of what I think is that you sort of have to be open to the football player and his skills, not so much the position and the part in the draft, saying yes or no on who you'd take, who you wouldn't. Just let the draft board fall and look at skills. But let's hear Bobby Quinn talk about that one moment.
And, if there's a player that's worthy of the 8th overall pick and he happens to be a tight end, then I'm not against that. So it's kind of a little bit early in the process to say, who that player may or may not be. But I don't have any guidelines that I've ever developed over my years in scouting that say you can't take a player at this position at that number. Like, I don't think that way. Everything's an individual kind of basis, individual scenario each year, depending on where you're drafting and what your needs are.
So now, with that being said, I mean, I always bag on Grifka that, you can't just write people off the board, this, that, and the other, but I'm also a type of guy who, if I'm just looking at it from, very plain terms, do I love taking tight ends or guards or some of these, outside linebackers really high in the draft? No, it's not my favorite on the surface, because I think the way you build your team is you pay those premier positions, which again we've talked about: defensive end, corner, quarterback. You don't pay wide receivers ridiculous money. You don't pay or draft tight ends at spots where you could be getting those premier positions at dirt cheap in the draft. So, I do want to say that. But overall, I've learned more that you just sort of have to rank your board, watch how the draft falls, people moving up, down, all around, taking people that fit their scheme. You never know who might fall. And then when it's your turn to select, make that best pick based on value, based on the actual player itself, and the need and the fit for your team. So I thought that was interesting. Bobby Quinn goes on to talk sort of about his comment about taking a quarterback at 8. He has a similar answer about just not wanting to write anybody off the board, but we all know it's probably not realistic. But the fact that his mind is open and he's willing to look at all players, I think, is both interesting and a good thing. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, it's similar to the question I got before. I'm never going to say yes or no to one position at a specific time. If I have somebody graded that high, I'm never going to say that I can't take a whatever position it is, running back, receiver, quarterback, at whatever number it is. If I do that, then I'm eliminating guys off the board. And, part of what we do is, like I've talked about since I've been here, is try to blend best available and need. So, and sometimes it's a combination of both. So
there you go on that. I mean, not much more needs to be said. Bobby Quinn's open. He's trying to take the best player at any spot. In Detroit, we've already paid Matt Stafford. He's, great skills at the quarterback position, needs to play a lot better for this team to win. So I don't see them taking a quarterback, even if Kyler Murray or Haskins or whoever was on the board. I mean, I just don't see it happening. I think you give Stafford another year or two, and then you make your decision on what you want to do. But got to be open, got to be see what's there, and just have to kind of say it for GM speak at times too, no doubt about it. So let's go ahead and listen to Bobby Quinn talking about tight ends coming out of college these days. I thought he had an interesting take of, you can tell he is really putting an emphasis on this position. That's why everybody's talking about TJ Hawkinson at 8. You can tell that he's looking into it, that he knows they need a tight end, but they don't need a flex, skinny, just catch the football type tight end. You can tell he wants a guy that can block, can receive, can move around, can run after catch, do all those different things that you need in the NFL in 2019. So here we go, Bobby Quinn on tight ends here, coming out of college and in the future.
I really don't know. It's a position that I'll say this, in college football, a lot of the times the tight ends are flexed out in the slot. There's only certain amount of offenses in college football that I would say are pro style. Most of them are spread 4 wide or 3 wide with the tight end displaced. So, you get into evaluating guys, you're like, wow, he's a good receiving tight end, right? But can he block? And you go through all his film and you're like, well, there's only 60 plays of him with his hand in the 3-point stance blocking a defensive end. So the sample size of watching collegiate tight ends block is really, depending, except for a couple of schools, there's not much there. So maybe that's part of it. That's something that we obviously, spend a lot of time at because, the tight end position is versatile. You're going to have to go run route. You're going to run routes, pass protect, which is crucial, right? Because sometimes you're going to have the running back, out in the route, and you're going to have to lead the tight end in the block. And then you have to block in the run game. We made a commitment to the run game last year with Carry On, and I think the tight end position kind of marries up with that to be able to secure the edge of the defense and get some of our skill players, Carry On, Theo, and those guys out to the edge. So
as you can hear there, I mean, Bobby Quinn again, he's putting a crazy emphasis on blocking, and I've told Grifka and my buddies before, like, I know Detroit would love a smash-mouth football team, a nasty offensive line, a beast of a defense, rather than over the last decade or so we've been trying to get skilled players, this, that, and the other. But now you see the NFL going to that. I mean, scoring points, you can't touch anybody. It feels like the Lions are going the other way, of trying to build that nasty run game, that grimy type defense. And I'm curious how it's going to work out because, I listen to Bob Quinn talk about blocking and this, that, and the other, and I think it's important, but again, it's a tight end. Like, you're seeing a lot of these flex tight ends now that, all they do kind of is catch, but they can almost get you, 700, 800, 1,000 yards and a bunch of touchdowns because they're red zone beasts. I think there is a value to that. And then if you have a good enough offensive line, tackles, your guys inside, they're going to block up enough for your quarterback most times, and then you can flex out defenses where they got to deal with these crazy athletes in the slot and out wide at tight end with a linebacker. I'm really interested to see how this works out. Either Bobby Quinn's right, and you got to still be able to block and do all these things, or the other teams are right that are going and just getting these freaky athletes. So we'll see what happens, but looking in the draft, I think you're going to want to look at multiple tight ends, not so much the flex guys. So the last clip I have here for the intro before we get into the rewind of the Vikings-Lions games in Week 16 is I got one more clip from BQ, and he's talking about Tease, giving some thoughts on Tease, where he's at, where he is going forward.
Yeah, no, Tease is a corner. Tease, obviously actually came in the last couple of weeks of the season. We kind of saw a little bit of an uptick with Tease. Kind of played with a little bit more confidence, played in the slot, played at nickel against Green Bay and did a good job against some of those guys. So, listen, I still have faith in him. He obviously hasn't played as much as I would have hoped, but I think, we're not giving up on him. He actually had a conversation with him a couple of days ago. So, he's a guy that we're, counting on to get better. Some guys, Tease was pretty young when we drafted him. So, some guys take a huge step between year 1 and year 2. I'm hoping that Tease takes a big step from year 2 to year 3.
So that's Bobby Quinn talking about his second round pick, Tease Tabor, the guy that he had watched more tape on than anybody else, a guy that had crazy instincts, a guy that was going to get his hands on the football, a guy that was coming out of a big program at Florida. and man, he's just been a huge miss. He's not made any plays on the football. His speed, lack of speed, I mean, is showing up every week for the Lions, not being able to cover people, not being able to keep up with NFL-type receivers. This is going to go down as a huge miss for Bob Quinn if he does not take a big leap forward here in year 2 to year 3. I don't know that I see it. I mean, when he drafted him, I was kind of like, oh man, I knew the speed was an issue. I did like some of his college tape, but it's been proven that as much as we love him to be that guy opposite of Slay, as much as we love him now to just sort of be a depth corner and be able to maybe make a few picks each year and come up with a few things, I mean, it's just not overall not looking so good for Tease. But who knows? I mean, he could turn it all around this year. You've seen that before in the NFL, but he's got a lot of work to do, and missing on a high second rounder is going to hurt the Lions if he's a cut or a cap casualty or whatever it may be. So there it is, everybody. You got to hear from the head coach, the GM, Matt, Pat, Bobby Quinn, talking about our Lions. I thought it was real interesting to kind of break that down. I want to hit that up here at the beginning of the podcast, put in some audio clips for you guys, so hopefully that was helpful and a good listen. I'm going to come back here and we're going to do Vikings-Lions Week 16. Watch that live if you want to, or you can listen to my recap as I watch it live right here on the Detroit Koolaid cast. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, we're back. So this is, we've been doing the Koolaid Rewinds, working our way through the season. Me and Grifka knew it was going to be hard to get through 16 Lions games before we got to free agency, the draft, the combine, all this good stuff coming up while we're rebuilding this team, getting it on the right track. So for a while now, we've been doing a game per show, really breaking it down, watching it every play, taking notes, going through it, kind of giving you guys some analysis, but also just our basic takes, things like that. So we're going to do a little different today. What I'm going to do is a solo show. I actually am going to watch this Vikings-Lions game for basically the first time since it happened, and I'm going to do that on YouTube. I put the link for the game on our show notes, which you can find on iTunes or wherever you're listening. It should have the YouTube address right there if you want to pull that up. And we're going to go ahead and check this game out together. So I'm going to go ahead and say 3, 2, 1, play, and then you can go ahead and hit play on your end of things and watch it with me, or you can just kind of hear my take on this football game as we work our way through it. And then Grifka's going to do a review of the Packer game, and then we'll be done with these Kool-Aid Rewinds, and we'll be looking at all the other stuff I mentioned earlier, the weeks to come and moving forward before we get to the 2019 off season and head to that regular season. So that's the plan. Alright, Detroit Kool-Aid drinkers, so here's the plan. We got the YouTube link pulled up. You see the Vikings and Lions logo right there. I'm going to go ahead and hit play here in a moment. You're going to hear the audio a little bit in the background. I think that'll just help you sort of follow if you're not watching along, but you'll still be able to hear my voice over top, hopefully. Again, this is the first try. Hopefully technology works for us, and this is cool. If you guys like it, we'll do it again in the future. And so here we go. I'm going to hit play, and we'll get this thing going. So in 3, 2, 1, play. So, man, this first play right here, I mean, Zach Zenner gets up in the hole, busts it out to the left side. I mean, that's a good run early in the football game. Grifka's favorite player, Double Z. Oh, screen ball to Theo, nothing doing. Felt like they read our screen game all year long. A great play by Lions special teams down that sucker right inside the 3-yard line. Lots of heat on Kirk Cousins here. Incomplete out to the side. Lions get the football back in great field position here, kind of just on their side of midfield. A little throw to Kenny G. Gets rolling. Oh, man, the guy is a beast when he catches the football. Gotta love it. Draw play to Theo. Nothing doing. 3rd and 3. Oh, my goodness. So Prater coming out for a 47-yarder. dead middle. I mean, guy's money. He has his moments where he misses, but he's basically money. Alright, so here Lions got the football back. Really good throw by Stafford. Off to the sideline. Kenny catches it, gets his feet in. Beautiful play. Throw to Levine Toilolo. Grifka, I know you're listening. We might have something there. Another draw to Theo that loses about 8 yards. Big sack by the Lions defense. Okwara, Kennard. Looks like Nevin Lawson was actually back there and made a play. Unbelievable. Gotta love it. Lions, tremendous field position here. Ball kind of inside the 30. Another throw to Kenny. Another first down. 3rd and 6. Great play. Stafford kind of stalls them out. They can't get it done in the red zone. Matt Prater on for a chip shot. 35-yarder. Dead middle. 6-0 Lions here early in the football game. Big sack by Romeo Okwara again. Guy was a beast. Just re-signed. I'm real happy for that. So here we go. Lions get the football back. 8 minutes left in the second. Little throw to Grifka's favorite player, T.J. Jones. Little catch, little first down. Play action. Stafford to Kenny G. Tell me if you heard that before. Gotta love it. Matt Prater on again. Another field goal. 48-yarder. You can count it. 9-zip Lions. 3 minutes left to go in the half. Kirk Cousins to his favorite player, Kyle Rudolph, for first down. Cousins, deep ball. Thielen uncovered. Looks like he beat Shed and didn't have safety up over the top. Slay had to come make the play, I think. Easy touchdown to Stefan Diggs. I believe that was Nevin Lawson. Oh, no, it might have been somebody else on the coverage there. It might have been Tease, actually. I'm not sure. Somebody got roasted and toasted. Cousins to Thielen all day. Alright, so 10 seconds before the half. Kyle Rudolph doesn't get out of bounds with 1 second left. Excuse me. Somehow they either called timeout or whatever. 3rd and 2 from the 44-yard line. Kirk Cousins launching deep. Ugh. And it's a touchdown. A Hail Mary touchdown again. Our Lions had dominated this first half. We're winning this football game. And that happens. A deep Hail Mary, basically a 50-yarder. Throws it up. Kyle Rudolph's the only guy that jumps. I don't know what the Lions are doing. Deshaun Shed there's hugging him. Nobody else even jumps for the football. And it's a touchdown. 14-9. Vikings heading into the half. Dalvin Cook just running for about 15 right off the left side there. He's a beast. Oh, Dalvin Cook again for 15 or 20. Just running through tackles. Just poor effort. Third and 9. Lions are able to stiffen up, make the Vikings kick a field goal. 17-9 Vikings here with 4:48 left in the third. Lions get the football back. Matt Stafford. Pocket collapses, steps up, gets sacked. Tell me if you've heard that before. Cousins really slicing us up here, as well as hurting us in the run game. Dalvin Cook, 3rd and 1, a real powerful run, able to get it for the Vikings. All right, we're into the fourth quarter, 17-9. Lions need a stop here. Oh my goodness, they just gave Kyle Rudolph that first down. Did not look like he got to the sticks at all. Dalvin Cook with another 9-yard run right up our defense. Right at the 5-yard line here for the Vikings. Little play action. Don't cover the tight end. Tell me if you've heard that before. Touchdown Vikings. Oh my goodness, this game's getting ugly. 24-9 Vikings. This game is turned in a hurry. Not for our team. Lions with the football back. Now we're letting Latavius Murray run all over us. You know something's wrong. Seven minutes left in the fourth. Lions get the football back. Need to get it, put up points, but not looking good right now. Deep ball, Stafford to Kenny, just a little overthrown. Kenny tried to lay out, couldn't get it. Tough. That would have been a big play. Got to put it on him, Matt Stafford. Stafford steps up, sacked. Didn't get rid of the football and just the pocket presence. Talked about that a bunch. Just got ate up by their defense. Why we can't block the Vikings, I'll never know. 3rd and goal. Lions just absolutely eat them up. Field goal try here. Another field goal by Minnesota, 27-9. Oh my goodness, Lions got out to a great start, and it's just getting ugly. Matt Stafford is out of the game now. Matt Castle, oh my goodness. 2 minutes left. We have waved the white flag. Embarrassing. Vikings get the ball back, and they actually just kind of let us get him down on 4th there, turn the football over. Matt Castle dropping back. This isn't going to be pretty. He just dumps it down to Zach Zenner. Just trying to run out the clock here at this point. Another dump down. 30 seconds left. Matt Castle steps up. Actually gets away from pressure. Now he's running. That's not good. He's one of the slowest men in the NFL. Absolute blitz, just completely not picked up. Another sack for the Vikings. And that'll do it, man. That's the ball game. So, really rough effort there by our Lions. It's crazy because, the beginning of the game, I was wondering if I had clicked the right game because it was, the Lions were moving the football a little bit. Kenny was getting a bunch of stuff, moving the ball. Just kind of scoring field goals, not getting touchdowns, but getting field goals. And the next thing you know, after that Hail Mary, that was game over, man. They just kept putting up points, touchdowns, field goals, whatever it may be. We obviously didn't do anything offensively after that, and then actually pulled our quarterback just to be safe. So, man, that's a really tough rewind. It's a game the Lions, didn't mean much. Me and Grifka were having the argument about draft picks versus wins, but you don't like the Minnesota Vikings coming into your house and absolutely beating you down. So, tough one to watch. Glad we're done and through with that rewind. Again, a little recap. I thought that it was just another tough game for Stafford in the offense. Defense was playing great, didn't play great in this game. And they've got one more heading into Green Bay. I think they were sitting at pick number 5, if I remember correctly, at this point. They're heading into Green Bay, so we'll see what Griff got to say about that game. Lions going to Green Bay, not really anything to play for. But they did roll out anybody that was healthy in that game, other than I think Kenny sat, and again, Kerryon never returned from his injury. So we're going into Green Bay with lack of weapons. Again, we'll see what happens. We'll see what Griff has to say. That's my Kool-Aid Rewind for today. Hope you guys like this kind of different episode. I'm still working on audio and different things, but appreciate everybody listening. After Grifka's done, we'll catch you guys next week on Wednesday right here for the Detroit Kool-Aid Cast. I'm out, everybody. Take care.
Pack the bags, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions!
Drink it in, man.